Today, I wanted to chat about the most ungrateful fans I've ever seen, that being Invincible fans and Helldivers 2 fans. Both groups are just absolutely insufferable. And I love playing Helldivers, I love watching Invincible, but I hate listening to and reading the discourse surrounding both of these. Invincible will release a new episode, right? And I'll think, oh man, that was a great episode. And I'm so excited to see what people have to say about it. It's a mistake I make every time, absolutely foolish. And so then I go and check, and everybody's complaining about, oh, the animation, or it's usually the animation. And yeah, the animation could be a lot better, but they're doing a great job with the story and the voice acting, and it's really well put together. Other than the animation could be a little bit smoother, and it's just like, guys, can't we just be happy that we have this awesome show that's keeps getting renewed and actually has a dedicated fan base? But it's the way of the algorithm, I guess, is that if you're going to complain about something, you're going to get a lot more clicks. It's just the unfortunate truth. um, and that's something that frustrates me is, every once in a while I'll see a post it's talking about, man, that new episode was great, and it's not full of people just whining, but those posts are lost in the wave of complaints and annoying people just trying to discuss what they liked the least instead of the cool things that happened. And it's the same thing with Helldivers. There was recently a big Helldivers update where they added a bunch of bad guys and some new weapons and a lot of cool stuff. I was really enjoying it. And I saw this guy online and he said, these past few updates, all they've done is just add enemies. How come they can't add new biomes or new, mission types or whatever? And it's like, dude, geez, man, why do some people feel the need to just complain? And look, the irony of me complaining about this is not lost on me. I get it, but I've had this thought for so long. I mean, I remember seeing it was definitely a vocal minority, but I saw people complain about one of the Invincible season finales when he fought Conquest. And people still managed to complain about, wow, they spent the whole season's budget on that one shot of him getting up and his hair was waving all over the place. I totally understand where they're coming from, but guys, that was one of the best episodes of the whole series, and it's just the complaints, and then people complain about filler episodes. And a lot of these people don't understand the finer aspects of budgeting for a TV show. That shit's expensive. Um, it's just so frustrating, and I know not everybody has. I use the word perspective a lot, but not everybody has that perspective or that foresight. It's still just frustrating to me. I wish people could be more grateful. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to live in a world where people say, yeah, and not everything's perfect, but it is what it is. Not everything's always going to be perfect. That's kind of just the nature of everything ever. And especially when it comes to Helldivers, you'll see the developers of this game make a lot of mistakes, and there are definitely justified complaints, but the people who are making these complaints notice, oh, okay, well, this is getting me a lot more attention than when I talk about things that I like. So I'm just going to focus on doing that and just be a miserable, miserable person. And that's not fun. It can be entertaining, and it seems like at this juncture, it's just evolved into them just being absolutely as miserable as possible for clicks. In case in point, there's this guy, Lieutenant Buzz Lightbeer, who's a big fixture in the Helldivers community. Every single YouTube video he makes is just him complaining and being annoying, and I don't know if I've ever seen him make a video that's positive, and it's always about the next controversy or what the devs did wrong or how this is unbalanced or, what's coming next and why it's going to be bad. And I always just wonder, how do you live like that? Don't you get tired of thinking that way all the time? I mean, I know me personally, that's not good for me to think that way. I don't like that. I try to actively avoid thinking like that. Um, I don't know. They I've heard it called the Irish good morning when you wake up and you're just like, oh fuck my life, like this shit sucks. But it you can't, if you think like that all the time, you're just gonna be an awfully miserable person, and in every sense of the word. And I really want to avoid that. But like I said, there's guys like him who just lean into it, and that's their whole career. I mean, he's legit made a career out of out of just complaining. Kind of like, if you watch or listen to sports talk, those guys, they just bitch and moan all the time, especially in the off season or, after a particularly bad regular season loss, they're just going to mope and just be the worst. I just don't get it. Why would you want to do that? I mean, even in the worst losses, there's usually one or two things that you can point to and say, well, that was done well, or that's showing improvement. It all goes back to that's not what people pay attention to. The human brain is wired to just remember the worst of things, and it's kind of that like you learn from mistakes and you learn from trauma or whatever, however you want to describe it. Um, but it sucks because sometimes I'll think, I'll catch myself thinking about the worst things ever, and I'm like, man, how come I don't remember the fun stuff, the good times? But that's just how human brains are wired for the most part. So, anyways, maybe the next time you're thinking about leaving a negative comment, bitching and moaning about your favorite sports team or whatever, maybe just don't leave that comment. And think about, well, what did they do? What did they do well? Maybe the rookie on our team is showing a lot of gumption. Maybe that guy looks like they've got a bright future, or maybe the world's just better off without my obnoxious complaining. And if you're an Invincible fan, please just give it a rest. I love the show. It's a kick ass show. A lot of cool stuff happens. And even the worst episode of it is better by light years than a lot of other shows in that similar vein. So just try to think positively. That's all it is. I mean, you're not always going to achieve it. Nobody does. Nobody's perfect. But again, nobody's perfect. Keep that in mind next time you see your favorite game developer or movie producer make an oopsie. Just cut them some slack. I think the world would be a much better place if we cut each other some slack all the time. Like I said last video, I don't care if you like or subscribe. You have free will. You're your own person. I trust your choices. Have a good one.